My name's Tessa, and at 29, I'm piecing my life back together in Columbus, Ohio, after walking away from a marriage that nearly broke me. It's strange to think how it all started, with a spark in a college lecture hall, where Caleb's goofy smile and quick wit caught me off guard. We were just kids then, sneaking coffee between classes, dreaming of a future we thought we'd build together. But even back then, there was a shadow hanging over us, his mother, Diane. From the moment I met her, I could feel her sizing me up, her eyes narrowing like I was some small-town nobody who didn't deserve her son. I tried to brush it off, but her constant meddling, snide comments about my simple upbringing, unsolicited advice on how I should dress or act, started to wear me down. Growing up, my family wasn't picture perfect. My parents split when I was a kid, and I bounced between their houses, learning early on to fend for myself. That made me crave stability, someone I could trust to have my back. Caleb seemed like that person at first. We'd stay up late, laughing about our dreams. Mine to capture the world through a camera lens, his to climb the corporate ladder as an accountant. But Diane was always there, whispering in his ear, planting doubts. I'd tell Caleb how her comments hurt, how her suggestions felt like attacks, but he'd just shrug, torn between us. "She's my mom, Tessa," he'd say, like that explained everything. I wanted to believe love could fix it, so I kept trying, hoping he'd see my side. After 5 years of dating, we got married in a small ceremony, despite Diane's obvious disapproval. She barely spoke to me that day, her lips pursed like she'd swallowed a lemon. For a while, we managed to keep her at arm's length, settling into a little house in a quiet Columbus suburb. I threw myself into my job as a marketing coordinator, covering most of our bills since Caleb's accounting gig didn't pay as well. It wasn't ideal, but I didn't mind, at least not at first. What started to gnaw at me was this empty feeling, like I was losing a part of myself. Work was fine, but it wasn't enough. I'd always loved photography, ever since I was a kid snapping Polaroids of my mom's garden or my sister's silly faces. I wanted something that was mine, something that lit me up inside. So I took a leap. Without telling Caleb, I started a photography side hustle. I'd stay up late editing photos, learning new techniques, pouring my heart into every shot. My best friend, Rachel Nguyen, was my biggest cheerleader. She's a freelance writer with this infectious energy, always pushing me to chase my dreams. "You've got talent, Tessa," she'd say, passing me a coffee as we brainstormed ideas. This could be huge. I kept it quiet from Caleb, not because I didn't trust him, at least not then, but because I wanted to surprise him. I imagined the look on his face when I'd reveal I'd saved enough for a dream vacation, maybe to the Pacific coast, just the two of us. It felt like a way to prove I was more than just the dependable wife picking up the slack. But then things started to shift. Caleb got his first big promotion, a fat $8,000 paycheck that should have eased our stress. Instead, he got weird, distant, cagey. One evening, he came home and announced he'd invested his entire check in some sketchy stock tip. I was floored. "Caleb, we have bills," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He brushed me off, saying it'd pay off big. We argued, patched things up, but the next month he did it again. And again. I was working extra hours, juggling our budget, while he acted like money grew on trees. My frustration bubbled over, and one night I snapped. "How can you be so reckless?" I yelled. "I'm killing myself to keep us afloat." His face hardened, and he stormed out, leaving me staring at the door, wondering what the hell was happening to us. That fight with Caleb shook me, but it was just the start. I stood in our quiet kitchen, the hum of the fridge filling the silence he left behind, and felt a knot in my stomach. Something was off, way off. He wasn't just being careless, it was like he was hiding something. I tried talking to him over the next few days, but he dodged me, burying himself in his phone or changing the subject. My photography business was picking up, thanks to Rachel connecting me with local clients, small businesses needing headshots or product photos. Every new gig felt like a lifeline, not just for the money, but for the confidence it gave me. Still, I kept it from Caleb, partly because I wasn't ready to share, but also because he felt like a stranger lately. The next blow came a few weeks later. I was balancing our budget, noticing how my side income was keeping us comfortable, new furniture, a few nice dinners out. But Caleb's paychecks kept disappearing. One morning, I found a bank statement he'd left open on his laptop. My heart sank as I saw a chunk of money sitting in a separate account I didn't know about. He wasn't broke like he'd claimed. He was hiding cash. Worse, I stumbled across texts between him and Diane. She was relentless, calling me a leech who was dragging Caleb down. She'd twisted every argument we'd had, painting me as some gold digger when I was the one holding our life together. My hands shook as I read Caleb agreeing with her, venting about my nagging over money. It felt like a knife in my chest. I called Rachel, barely holding it together. She came over with takeout, her calm presence grounding me as I spilled everything. "Tessa, this isn't just about money," she said, her voice firm. "This is betrayal. Diane's been poisoning him against you." She was right. Diane had always wanted control, and now she was using Caleb's insecurities to drive a wedge between us. I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner. Every time I'd pushed Caleb to stand up to her, he'd chosen her side, even if he didn't say it out loud. Rachel urged me to confront him, but to be smart about it. "Don't let them break you," she said. "You're stronger than this." I wanted to storm over to Diane's and scream, but Rachel's words stuck with me. I needed proof, a plan. So, I kept quiet, watching Caleb's moves. He didn't know I'd seen his account, didn't know I was building my own safety net with my photography. Each client I landed, a local bakery, a startup needing branding, gave me a little more security, a little more courage. But the hurt lingered, a dull ache that kept me up at night. How could the man I'd loved for years let his mother turn him against me? I wasn't just fighting for a marriage anymore. I was fighting for myself. The weight of Caleb's betrayal sat heavy on my chest, like a storm I couldn't outrun. I spent days wrestling with what to do, torn between rage and the fading hope of saving our marriage. Rachel was my anchor, inviting me over for movie nights to clear my head. One lazy Saturday, we sprawled on her couch, watching old rom-coms and eating too much pizza. For a few hours, I could pretend my world wasn't falling apart. But then Diane called, shattering the calm. Her voice dripped with venom, accusing me of ruining Caleb's life. I gripped the phone, my pulse racing, but Rachel's steady nod kept me from losing it. "Stay cool, Tessa," she whispered. Then Diane dropped a bombshell. She wanted us to split our assets 50-50, claiming it'd prove my loyalty. It was a trap, plain and simple, but I saw an opportunity. I agreed to meet Diane, Caleb, and their lawyer friend, Greg, that Friday. Rachel came with me, her presence a quiet reminder I wasn't alone. Walking into her house, I found them waiting. Diane's smug smile, Caleb's nervous fidgeting, Greg flipping through papers. The contract was exactly what I expected, an even split of everything, with a clause banning financial help between us. Diane thought it'd expose me as the greedy one, not knowing my photography business was thriving. I'd landed a big client that week, a local boutique chain needing a full rebrand, and my savings were growing fast. I signed the papers, my hand steady, knowing this would hit Caleb harder than me. Living with Caleb after that was like walking on eggshells. We barely spoke, our conversations clipped and cold. He tried reaching out, his voice soft with regret. "Tessa, can we just talk?" he'd plead, but I couldn't let my guard down. Not after he'd let Diane twist his view of me. I threw myself into my work, shooting sessions late into the night, editing photos until my eyes burned. Each paycheck felt like a step toward freedom, but it didn't dull the pain of our fractured life. I'd catch myself staring at old photos of us, smiling at a county fair, kissing under Christmas lights, and wonder where that love went. Was it ever real, or had Diane's shadow always been there, waiting to tear us apart? Weeks after signing that contract, our house felt like a battlefield, silent but tense. Caleb was struggling, his fridge shelves bare, his excuses flimsier every day. I, on the other hand, was thriving. My photography business was taking off, engagement shoots, small business campaigns, even a gig for a regional magazine. Rachel and I celebrated with brunches and late-night wine, but I couldn't fully shake the guilt. Part of me felt bad watching Caleb flounder, but then I'd remember his texts with Diane, calling me a leech. He'd made his choice. Then Diane showed up unannounced, storming into our house like she owned it. "You're stealing from my son," she spat, her face twisted with rage. I was stunned, my coffee mug frozen halfway to my lips. "What are you talking about?" I shot back, my voice sharper than I meant. She claimed I was siphoning Caleb's money to fund my lavish lifestyle, pointing to my new camera gear and weekend trips with Rachel. Caleb stood there, silent, his eyes darting between us. I laughed, bitter and cold. "Stealing? Diane, your son's broke because of his own choices, and you're meddling. You pushed for that contract, not me." Her eyes narrowed, unconvinced. "Your job doesn't pay for all this," she sneered. "Where's the money coming from?" I took a deep breath, the moment I'd been holding on to for months finally here. "I have a photography business," I said, my voice steady. "I've been building it for a while, planning to surprise Caleb with something special. But you made sure that never happened, didn't you? You turned him against me, called me a gold digger when I've been carrying us both." Diane's jaw dropped, and Caleb's face paled. I reached into my bag, pulling out the divorce papers I'd prepared weeks ago. "I'm done, Caleb," I said, my voice cracking despite my resolve. "I can't live like this, under your mother's shadow, pretending we can fix what's broken." The room went silent, the papers in my hand heavier than they should have been. Diane sputtered, but I cut her off. "This isn't about money. It's about trust, respect, things you both threw away." Caleb's eyes begged me to reconsider, but I was done. I'd given him every chance, and he'd chosen Diane's lies over our marriage. I handed him the papers, my heart pounding but my mind clear. For the first time in months, I felt like I was taking back my life. After handing Caleb those divorce papers, I felt a strange mix of relief and ache, like I'd finally set down a weight I'd carried too long. I moved out a few weeks later, renting a cozy apartment in downtown Columbus with big windows that let in golden light, perfect for my photography. I agreed to split our remaining debts, but that was it. Caleb tried to talk me out of it, his voice desperate, but I stayed firm. "You chose this," I told him, my words calm but final. "You let Diane tear us apart." He had no answer, just a defeated look that almost broke me. Almost. Diane, predictably, fought the divorce, probably thinking she could salvage something for Caleb. But with our assets already split, there wasn't much to contest. Caleb couldn't keep up with the house payments, so he sold it and moved in with Diane. I heard through mutual friends he was struggling, his pride bruised from living under her roof again. Part of me hoped he'd learn from it, learn what it means to trust, to take responsibility, but that wasn't my fight anymore. I was done carrying his mistakes. My life, though? It was like the sun breaking through after a long storm. My photography business exploded. I landed contracts with local restaurants, then a national outdoor brand wanting lifestyle shots. Each job felt like a love letter to myself, proof I could build something real. Rachel was there for every milestone, toasting to new clients over cocktails or helping me scout shoot locations. I even started teaching photography workshops, sharing the passion that had saved me. Financially, I was free, no more scraping by, no more covering for someone else's bad calls. I bought a new lens, took a solo trip to the Smoky Mountains, and felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Looking back, I see how much I've grown. The pain of Caleb's betrayal, Diane's venom. It shaped me, but it didn't define me. I learned my worth, not just as a wife or a daughter-in-law, but as Tessa, someone who could stand on her own. I surrounded myself with people like Rachel, who lifted me up, who saw my fire when I doubted it myself. The future's wide open now, and I'm ready for it. New projects, new adventures, a life I'm building on my terms. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through heartbreak, betrayal, and the fight to find myself again. If my story hit you, if it made you cheer or cry or feel a little stronger, hit that subscribe button and join me. Every photo I take tells a story of grit, heart, and starting over. Keep chasing your own light, and I'll meet you where the sun rises.